Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Positioning and Storytelling Summit. Again, to answer all of your questions at the end of the session, so put them in the live chat. And today we have the incredible Madhav Badwadvi from Head of Marketing from Storylane, and he is going to be sharing some incredible insights. So over to you.
Hi, everybody. Excited to be here. Today's session is going to be all about differentiating your product launches, and particularly, we recently launched a product called Demo Hub, and I'm just going to share like the entire playbook on like why how we kind of made it successful and how we differentiated it versus kind of like the standard playbook. So, at least one of you in this group here would probably have, I have a certain certainty that, you would have heard about the Demo Hub launch somewhere or the other. And that was primarily because Demo Hub was Storylane's biggest launch ever. And it was intended to be like that. I mean, just some quick results. So we had about 700 plus companies on the wait list. By the end of this campaign, we had a 33% lift in Storyline brand searches. And, we basically reached over 500,000 future buyers. So, and without posting anything on Product Hunt, we didn't kind of go there. We didn't go that route. We didn't go asking for upvotes and all of that. We just went with our own playbook. And I mean, like for a lot of teams, it's be like, okay, why did you, not kind of, like use Product Hunt or something? So I think generally it doesn't work that well for us. And so I thought maybe I'll share our playbook about this launch and how we differentiated it versus other launches and basically distill that down into 6 learnings so that it's easier for you all to kind of follow. So the first thing we, like when my CEO and I, when we kind of sat down, we like I think the first thing you need to think about is like which launches are worth hyping because a lot of companies what they do they make that mistake where it's like they will hype every launch and then you've got a 12 months calendar which is just filled with hype, right? And then the seriousness of that hype kind of goes away. And so we basically follow like a simple framework. So we basically split our kind of launches into like these 3 categories. One are kind of like positioning defining releases. So these are the features that we feel will drastically impact our positioning and it's a good brand play and it can actually help us reach a lot of future buyers. These we usually keep to about 1 to 2 launches per year. And with this we usually allocate a bigger marketing budget and an exclusive window in the brand campaign. So when I mean exclusive window, it basically means that there's going to be no other brand campaigns that'll be running on the side. It'll be exclusively focused on that, which just gives a better finish. So Demo Hub was a positioning defining launch, and then we've got these major launches which happen like like maybe once per quarter. Those go through the standard route of like announcing in app or the blog or on LinkedIn and other brand campaigns run beside it. And there are these minor releases that happen across the year, which are released in the change log and promoted as a bunched update. So we were very clear from the beginning that Demo Hub was going to be a positioning defining launch. And so we needed to plan it that way. The second thing was we needed to have a very particular definition of what launch success meant, right? And I think that's where a lot of like teams can go wrong. Like they would, let's say, not define any success, and they'd be like, okay, let's rank at number one and be the product hunt of the day, right? Or get as many upvotes, right? We basically visualized and we said that okay, we like this needs to be like the success scenario, in order for us to call this launch a success. So the way we basically designed it, like assigned it or defined it was in 3 things, right? Like one was deepen our position as a demo automation leader with first in category releases to buyers, because this was one of the first in category releases. The second thing was we wanted to reach over 300,000 future buyers and grow Storyline brand with the launch. One of the major reasons for such a big launch was just we wanted to reach a huge amount of future buyers. And then the last was as a result of all these activities build a waitlist of about 500 plus companies. Now, the third thing we went for was identify strong positioning pre-launch. And this is so important. Like a lot of people say you should sell the story and not feature name, but it's so surprising people don't follow that, right? Like, so you would always see something like, oh, we just launched kind of like an AI co-pilot, right? Or they might say that, hey, we launched something like a buyer reveal feature or something, right? And the problem is that you have context about, okay, what is the story behind that feature name, but your future buyers have no context. They're kind of operating from ground zero. And so it's really, really important to sell the story. So one of the things that we kind of emphasized on was that we're not going to call it like the demo hub. We're going to basically emphasize on the story that one demo is not enough. And I'll walk you through like how we kind of got to that particular phase. So to find our story, we obviously kind of listen to our customers, but I think one thing that really helped us was we distilled it down to a teaser. So maybe a question to think about is like, what hint would you give your customers, about the launch without actually revealing what that is, right? If you had to tease it over 3 to 4 weeks, what hint would you give? And then that teaser statement kind of becomes the marketing team's base level narrative. That's kind of how we went with it. So, just kind of show you, this is kind of like a snapshot of like all of the customer messages we got before we actually started building out this feature, right? And there were like some things that we saw, right? The need to share multiple videos with, our target audience, or, put all demos in one place, or prospects seeking answers themselves. So, instead of going for like announcing Demo Hub, which is, what usually we would do, we basically distilled it down to like, what is the Demo Hub about? So it was about centralizing all demos in one place. And then we distilled it down further into the story. Why do you need to centralize all demos in one place? And it was mainly because you need more than one demo to educate the buyer. So then we took this message and then we converted it into a teaser that one demo is not enough to educate the buyer. And this teaser was what was behind the entire campaign and what we kind of went with. And like that's how we went with the story. For example, like, would you prefer watching a 1 hour podcast episode or 10 6-minute clips of the same podcast, right? And then make a case of like why you need more than one demo to educate the buyer. So the story was super helpful in kind of just reaching a mass audience of buyers. The next thing that we did was we planned the launch as a live event. It wasn't something like, hey, we released it, there was a landing page or something. It was more like we built the hype up towards a live event. So why a live event particularly? I think one was that it was a great opportunity to kind of chat with customers face to face. It doesn't happen too often, and you can answer any questions in real time, right? The second was, I think, with a live event you get to share the behind the scenes to communicate the exact messaging and positioning that you're kind of going for with the launch. Because when you go with a landing page, you kind of have to ensure the prospect's attention's there. So you kind of keep it super short. You just don't get the time to reveal the behind the scenes. And when you have a blog post, most people won't read through it. But in this, it's kind of like people follow through your journey, like what led to this feature release, and I think people just connect better. Then I think the third thing was we reason was we wanted like to build a sense of community among customers, and like build out the shared excitement, so customers could come in, they could connect with each other, they could kind of chat, share that excitement. And then the last thing was, with the live event we could actually get real time reactions from customers, and get some early indicators for next steps. If there's something, if the perhaps the interest is not that high, then we could perhaps do something differently. So it's a good way to kind of get that live reaction. And so, if you want, you can kind of see the live event on Storylane's YouTube ever, just to see how we did that. Uh,
So, good morning, good afternoon.
Sorry. Yeah. And then the next thing that we did was we hyped the live event. So that was our strategy. So the way we split it was, we're gonna like there's going to be this hype where the focus was to kind of build the attendee list for the live event, and then post the event our focus was to build the wait list for that. And then combined, then we could have like a huge number of companies that we could perhaps reach to. So how did we create hype for the demo hub? So we used a couple of ways. We used humor to reach a large number of future buyers. We sent swag to drive advocacy. We started teasing our launch a month in advance, and built that hype up over a month. And I think every week we were gradually revealing more and more details, just to kind of spark that curiosity. And honestly, by the time the event arrived, the excitement was at its peak. So I'll share how we went with each of these. The first thing was using humor to reach a large number of future buyers. So this was a very big learning for me this year, that I think humor is a fantastic way to kind of reach to like a huge amount of future buyers. So if you see on LinkedIn, you've got Tim Davidson, the fruit cutting guy, or you've got the corporate bro, who's talking about these sales things. And if you see the amount of impressions and reach these folks get, like it's absolutely amazing, right? So why not use humor as a way to reach a large number of future buyers and educate them, about like what you're trying to sell to. So what we did was we collaborated with the funniest B2B creators on LinkedIn. We talked with a lot of people, and we basically gave them a teaser statement. The teaser statement I talked about. You need more than one demo to educate the buyer. As a brief, and basically riffed on ideas with them. How could we kind of incorporate that? Then we kept each video to about a minute long to keep the attention. And this is another interesting thing, that we've always seen that with these snack videos, that's what we call it, like less than a minute long, right? They tend to just have a way, like, I think the number of impressions and reach is insane. So you combine the humor with these snack videos, and you have a recipe to reach to a very, very wide audience. And then we basically promoted these videos very heavily across LinkedIn and YouTube. So this is just an example of some of the creators we work with. This is Travis Tyler, Ryan, Sanjeev T. All of these folks had their own different angles to kind of address the core pain point, and these had really amazing impressions and reach for each of these videos. The second thing we did was we sent swag to drive advocacy, right? So this was another way to kind of tease to build up that hype to the live event. So we curated these unique swag boxes to basically increase sharing. So usually when you see in a swag box, you'd see like a bottle or like a moleskin notebook. We went something like, let's have a funky sock, or add like a baby onesie, or add a plant, just kind of differentiate, because that increases the likelihood of it being shared. The second thing we did was we personalized the swag boxes with stickers and personal notes to celebrate the work. And then we shipped these boxes out with a very secret message, and we sent these to Storylane advocates, the folks that have been very vocal advocates about Storylane, without any like not any of them being incentivized, and just doing them just pure out of love. And so we wanted to kind of celebrate all of these folks kind of being our champions and advocates. And then we ship these swag boxes out across the world. One of the major learnings there was, when you're shipping globally, at least account for about 1 to 2 weeks. This didn't 80% of the shipments did arrive on time, but some kind of reached after the event. So this was just a big learning, that global shipments are always a bit complex, so give yourself some time to do that. Now, and this is just a teaser of what that swag box looked like. So, you've got the stickers and the socks and all of those things. And then there was like this message, which is like, something new is coming from Storyline on May 15th. That's a pretty big deal. And then in the hint was the teaser that I just told you about. And the reactions with those swag boxes was absolutely amazing. People shared it on LinkedIn. People just dropped us messages saying that really looking forward to what's happening. That it really built up that hype of like, what, like, this is not normal that's coming out of Storyline. What is coming out of Storyline right now? So we had lots of folks kind of messaging us that, and that was kind of exactly what our intention was. And then the last thing we did to build the hype was inform customers about the live event, which is kind of like the standard playbook. We emailed our customers teasing them about the live event. We promoted the event inside the app and on the homepage, and we asked our sales and customer success teams to mention it in their individual calls, that hey, we have something big that's coming out, and you should join the event. And then the last thing that we did was we used interactive demos in our launch. So I'll share an interesting story of what happened 3 days before the launch. My engineering team kind of came to me and said that we have a 2 week delay, 3 days before the launch, and I almost shit my pants. Like, we couldn't delay the marketing launch. We'd spent 4 weeks building out this wait list. We had this amazing hype, and we couldn't delay it, right? So instead, we used interactive demos, which actually turned out better than expected. So, like, one learning was why interactive demos are amazing for launches. I think the first is that it allows your future buyers to try the new launch without waiting weeks for access. which actually drastically improves waitlist conversion rates. Because the kind of hype you have right after the event, right, you would ideally want to give access to everybody immediately, but it's impossible oftentimes. You're slowly kind of testing it out with more and more customers. But with interact demos, you could just give them access immediately. The second thing was buyers could see the product before joining the wait list, which basically helped us match their expectations. So there was no surprises during the sales demo. They knew exactly what the look and feel of the product was going to be like before they jumped on a sales demo, and the conversations then became a lot more advanced, right? So the waitlist folks that kind of ultimately we had our conversations with our sales team, those are very advanced level. The basics were highlighted, how the UI works, how the feature is going to work. And then they were asking more technical details, which just makes it a lot more easier to then convert those buyers. And then I think another thing with the interact demos was that it helps us avoid embarrassing bugs and hiccups during a launch demo, right? Sometimes when you launch, it might be a beta release, right? And there might be, while doing a launch event, your screen might freeze or something, right? With an interactive demo, because it's a replica, you don't have to worry about that. And then, we obviously used, Storylane to create an interact demo. I thought I'd probably share that it just takes about less than 10 minutes. It's free to start. It's super scalable, and there's no coding required. So I'm going to share how we use the interact demo. So we added the interactive demo on our waitlist page, and our conversions were drastically higher. So usually you'd have a waitlist page where there'd be a form, like to add your email and then kind of like the details about what's going to come. Instead we just added the interact demo of the product, and we're like, see it, look and feel the product, and then if you feel this is something you want to try, then you kind of sign up. So this actually worked out really, really well for us. This is the QR code. If you want to see the interactive demo for the demo hub, right? I'll probably wait 5 seconds. You can probably scan it and maybe just see it. Do know that it's an interact demo that was built for more desktop based apps. So if you are opening on your phone, maybe just open it later on your desktop. But yeah, just to kind of give you some glimpse of like what an interactive demo looked like. The second thing was we used interactive demos on our in-app page. So you can see here, within the app, we basically added get a glimpse of the demo hub, right? And then when people clicked on it, they could see the demo hub. And then basically, if there's something that actually appealed their interest and matched their expectation, then they could just kind of sign up for the wait list. We use the interact demo the launch. So like I said, we had a bit of a delay, which was not worried. Like usually engineering product launches and marketing product launches don't have to align, right? I think they can be separate, and that's exactly what happened. We tried to time it, but there's always delays there, right? So we used the interact demo at the launch event as well, and it was like the reactions were pretty amazing. And then we use the interactive demo as post-event sales collateral. So we basically kind of sent this out, the wait list, we sent it out to the customers. Anybody who wanted to request access, they could see the interact demo and then again decide if they want to kind of sign up for the wait list or not. So what were the results after this? We saw a 33% jump in Storylane keyword searches on Google. It was pretty insane. And what was even more amazing was that we basically set a new normal. So like I think even a month later, or I think it's been 2 months since the launch, we're still at like drastically, I think like 20-30% higher brand searches than what was a year ago. So it drastically did have an impact, to do such a big launch and all of the initiatives we did, right? The reactions from customers were amazing. That was something that we were a little scared about. Imagine if you build hype for an event and your product, turns out a bit of a bummer, right? And then you would get all sorts of things like, oh, you just hyped it. And it was amazing. We got some really interesting comments, and that was great to see. And so, ultimately, like I said, we had 700 plus companies on the waitlist, and every week now, basically, with the interact demo on the waitlist page, we basically get about 10 to 20 companies kind of requesting access on the waitlist. This number is much higher now. Our inbox was flooded with access requests, right? Despite the engineering launch being 2 weeks away, which is like the dream for any product team, to have such a big waitlist of companies just waiting to try the product. We had a significant LinkedIn chatter about Storylane's launch, which led to like a 2.5x increase in followers, 5x increase in impressions, and like 10x more page visitors coming to Storylane. And it also kind of strengthened our position as the leading demo automation software, which is something very important with this kind of a positioning defining release. And I just want to highlight that Storylane is loved and used by some of the biggest sales and marketing teams in the world, whether that's Gong, Clory, or AngelList, or Nasdaq, or Sentinel One. It's used by the best of the best, and that's about it. Happy to answer any questions. You can always sign up for Storylane at the website here.
Thank you so much for that, Madhav. That's great presentation. Really appreciate it. So we have had some questions come in. So we've got a few minutes now, so I'll go through those. Okay, so what if you don't have the engagement on your current channels? What can you quickly do to get your buyers interested?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So I think you should definitely leverage the humor bit, what I just mentioned to you.
Yeah,
It's just partner with some of the biggest LinkedIn creators. It doesn't cost a lot. It definitely costs like much lesser than doing a press release. I can tell you that. Probably like 1/10 of that. And they can kind of share on their LinkedIn, and you could use humor as a way to kind of, you could even run paid ads on those humor, because we've run ads for like these humor campaigns, and they perform really well in terms of reach.
yeah, love that. Customers are often extremely time poor. How do you encourage attendance for live events?
So I think it's more about how much, like, how can you kind of say that this is not a normal release or a normal event, right? Like, that's something you need to emphasize
Yeah,
from the beginning, right? Like, if it's going to be, like I said, if you do a launch every month, right, like this, obviously customers are not going to be interested. But if you do like 1 to 2 a year, right, you'd get the kind of attendance. So I mean, just for reference, we had somewhere about 50% of the people that actually signed up attend the live event, which is pretty extraordinary for any kind of a
yeah,
virtual event you do. Yeah.
amazing. How do you identify serious intent for these future buyers?
So it's not about us identifying the serious intent. It's more about them kind of trying out the product through the interactive demo, right? And if they feel that this is something for them, right? And they sign up for the waitlist, you've got folks with a serious intent in the waitlist, right? Usually what happens is when you've got a waitlist and you don't have perhaps a way to look and see the product, right? You would get a lot of in the waitlist, but a lot of them don't know what actually it'll look like, right? A product screenshot just don't cut it. And even a video is probably just a little bit of a teaser, right? You need to give them a real experience to try, and interactive demos actually allow that. So that's what we've seen. If we use that, we have automatically serious folks, and we filter out the unserious folks from the waitlist.
Nice. And how do you measure that the excitement is growing?
Sorry, could you repeat?
How did you measure that the excitement is growing?
Sorry, I think if your voice is cutting out. Could you repeat?
Yeah, sorry. How do you measure that the excitement is growing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I think, like we said, right, like you kind of start seeing those signs early on. So initially it was like, okay, we started kind of putting those LinkedIn posts and kind of started sharing, right? And when we sent out those teasers and everything, we started kind of seeing inbound messages and comments and everything saying that, what are you guys launching, right? Or
Yeah,
what, like whether that's inbox messages or that, right? And then the more and more you kind of come closer to the launch, you'll start seeing the number of attendees to the live event starting to increase. You'll start to see more impressions kind of on your posts. And I think that was just a general indicator. Like, I think maybe like 2 weeks before the live event, our LinkedIn impressions were like just off the charts, maybe like 4 or 5x. So it was clear that that there were folks that were constantly coming in, seeing these, and just like there was that general curiosity, like what are they launching. So I think it basically is that's more of a subjective indicator, and you kind of know when the hype is being created. But there's also like the quantitative bit as well. You can see the number of live attendees. That's something you can probably track, and that gives some kind of an indicator if people are actually signing up and that excitement is there or not.
okay, perfect. And how did you whittle down your list to pick the right people to send to?
The you mean the wait list? Like how did we filter that out?
Yes, how did you pick that list?
So we didn't have to, like I said earlier, right? Because it was more like, of course, you filter it out based on like, whether that's what company is it, what account size is this, how much is that interest and everything. That bit you can do. But generally, what I've seen is that, like, if they've gone through an interact demo, they're already kind of filtered out. That's what we see with our homepage, with our, like our product demos and everything as well, right? So we didn't have to do that filtering ourselves because it's very hard to kind of filter that out initially and like, judge based on like how small or big a company domain is and all of that. You might miss out on a big opportunity. But if, let's say, you've got a wait list and you start conversing with them and you know that, 8 out of 10 conversations are actually very good, that's a good indicator, right? That means the wait list is good.
Nice. And how did you manage educating on two products at once?
How do you educate two products at once?
Yeah.
Got it. So I mean, like I mean, I would probably need more context, but like in our case, it was more like this was an addition to our existing product, right? So I don't think you should educate two products at once, first of all, because it's confusing the person, right? So we only focused on the demo hub. We just focused on that one product. We educated them around that, right? And then I think that is probably what I would also suggest, right? With two products, you're diluting the attention.
Okay, perfect. And how many were net new customers versus existing?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So 70% were net new, 30% were existing.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you. Well, there's loads of questions come in, so that's all we've got time for, really. So thank you for that, Madhav. I really appreciate it. And if anyone wants to connect with you afterwards, can they do that via LinkedIn or?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can search for my name or just search for the head of marketing at Storylane. Yeah,
amazing.
that'd be the best.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Really insightful. And yeah, hope to see you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.